Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion, delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit in current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest. Welcome back, Chip. Easy for me to say. Chip Ahlswede, VP of External Affairs of AAOC. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me back. I'm excited to be here. It's always fun to get to talk about the crazy that our government's got for us.
Aren't we lucky? And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we're celebrating today. You know, you wonder where they come up with some of these celebrations every day. And you know, we watch them on a regular basis. Josh watches them on a regular basis. I go there and look at them, and I think, you know, what the heck are we coming up with? Or where do these things come from? But, you know, we've got today some really, really weird ones. National Barcode Day. Nothing too exciting about that. National Parchment Day. And I look at parchment, and I said, okay, are they talking about, you know, like something we wrote the Constitution? Well, I guess we don't follow the Constitution too much anymore, but I digress. Like the Constitution, or in my case, you know, I use a parchment paper basket in our air fryer every day. So what are we referring to here? Don't know. National Coconut Day. Now, I will share with you that, you know, I like coconut, macaroons and pastries and things like that with coconut. But in, well, maybe not as much recently, but a few years back, I really got into the coconut water. Now, those of you that don't know the big benefit of coconut water, if you happen to indulge a little bit in adult beverages, coconut water does a wonderful, wonderful rehydration, I think is the best word. But having beaten anorexia, there's only one thing that we can go with today. It is National Chocolate Pudding Day. And you can't have chocolate pudding without whipped cream on top. So I just throw that in there, Chocolate Pudding Day. So the question is, do you like pudding, number one? And what is your favorite pudding, favorite flavor? Now, I don't know. I go to my favorite barbecue restaurant. I guess barbecue goes with banana pudding. I'm not a big fan of banana pudding, but, you know, I guess everybody has their own thing. Do you like it? Put it in the chat for us. If you're listening to us on radio, you know, you can't put it in the chat. Yell at your radio, we'll hear you. Just yell at the radio, we'll hear you. Do you like pudding? Yes or no? What's your favorite flavor? Here, you're on the spot, Chip.
Butterscotch. I've always been a butterscotch guy. Yeah. Okay.
I guess that's an interesting one. I've had that. I like it. I'm just chocolate. I'm just, you know, plain old chocolate. Josh, you didn't chime in today. You a chocolate guy? He's like back and forth on these over there. So, you know, he's like Josh and I are like Penn and Teller. I'm the fat one. He's the silent one. So it's just, well, I guess Teller, Penn's got kind of quiet lately or thin lately with all those potatoes he's eaten. I don't know if you ever followed. Where I digress on all these things, these rabbit trails we go down. But I did read his book about how he got fat and how he got skinny, and it's eating lots and lots of potatoes. Every time there's something going on, if he wants something, he keeps potatoes around for everything. And he says there's a lot of nutrition in the potatoes. In fact, he went for like 3 weeks, didn't eat anything but potatoes.
Wow.
So I guess if I ate nothing but potatoes for 3 weeks, I can't put anything on them. No butter, no sour cream, no nothing. After you've lost the weight you want to lose, I guess then you can start putting things on there. Still no butter, no sour cream, but I guess he talked about salsa and marinara sauce or things that are more healthy. I guess if you don't eat anything that tastes good, you're going to lose weight. It's just the way it is. Okay, let's move right along and let's see what's going on in the world, being that this is not a food show, even though I've beaten anorexia. Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 39 points, or 40 points as I speak now. The S&P 500 is up 4. NASDAQ is up 57. Oil, pretty flat, up down 15 cents a barrel. So we're not going to even talk about gas prices, especially here in the state of confusion, where we like taxes, we like fees, we like high gas prices. And I only know that because we keep on voting for the same people that do all that stuff to us. So, if you don't like those things, maybe vote for somebody different. And I find this fascinating. I've talked about this on Ron Siegel Radio before. It's amazing how we complain about so many things, right? Congress has about an 8 or 9% approval rating, yet we vote for the same people. So I think the only way that we can understand these things is my congressperson must be good and yours stinks. Because I wouldn't keep voting for mine if I only had an 8% approval. And I like my congressperson. Young Kim does a great job, I believe. Now, what are we going to do for senators? Lying chicken shift? Are we going there? Is that the direction we're going to go in the state of California? Most likely. I mean, the best thing I know about Steve Garvey is he's not lying chicken shift. I've listened to a few things he's had to say, and I've liked what he had to say, but is there any possible way that he could win in the state of confusion?
I'm going to say no. As much as I may like it, I actually was kind of hoping that we would have Schiff and Porter in the general, just because it would have forced people to spend way too much money in California for a seat that they were going to already have.
That would make sense.
Than rather spend it in other states.
I don't know. It would be nice if we got a surprise in November and got Garvey, but this is still California.
Yep.
The only thing I can think of is that, if there's enough people that decide, something, I can't vote for Biden because that's a vote for Kamala Harris. Don't want that. And I'm certainly not going to vote, not my personal opinion, but there's people who say they're not going to vote for Trump. Maybe they'll sit out. If enough people sit out, then Garvey might have a chance.
That is one of the thoughts out there right now.
Is it
there's
really?
going to be a lot of Democrats that are just not even going to show up with as much confusion as there is over, different Biden policies that people are for and against.
That would be nice if they don't.
It would be nice, yeah.
And you look at the news yesterday. I mean, I was totally shocked. I shouldn't say I was totally shocked. How about that New York primary?
Wow.
Was that crazy?
That was wild. Did you see the video of AOC and Jamal Bowman at their rally thinking it was a rap concert?
Yeah, I mean, AOC, that was the best I've seen her. She said nothing and jumped around on stage. So that was about as good as she gets. Keeping her quiet. They can't complain about that.
Right, that's fair.
And Bowman, you would expect, I mean, I was not thrilled with the hoodie that came from Pennsylvania. I thought that, you have to have a little bit of respect. But Bowman, I thought that maybe he knew something other than a 4-letter word. I guess he's not that smart a guy, but I mean, you go out there and speaking that way as a government official, supposed to be one of the leaders of the country. Glad the Bronx had enough sense to say adios to that idiot. But,
it is what it is.
Craziness in the world. So we're gonna watch a lot of things that are changing. We're gonna chat about a lot of this stuff coming up, and Chip follows this stuff intently, so he's got the ear to what's going on. Although we talked a little bit about the regulation and spoke yesterday about the National Association of Realtors settlement yesterday.
That was an interesting discussion. Yeah, absolutely.
So, but we're going to get into some new things with Chip this morning. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. Focus on time in the market, not timing the market. Chat about that. Benefits of moving your credit card payment dates and how to do it. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry. Calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not publish points paid, points received, or APR. They only publish the locked rate. And that's the number you put into your mortgage calculator if you have a mortgage calculator. If you don't have a mortgage calculator, ronismylender.com. Ronismylender.com. It's just a simple mobile app that has a mobile calculator right on there. What did rates do yesterday? Well, if you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials with ABC News and Talk, AM 1490 video feed, you are seeing a picture. Yesterday, what rates did, according to OBMMI, 30-year conforming rates, pretty flat. They were down just a tick, 6.852. Jumbo rates, they were up 7.167. FHA rates, they were up 6.691. USDA, that's the rural areas, generally no down payment, 6.686. They were down. And the winner, and I like to say this because it's our favorite group of people. I guess we're not allowed to say that. I guess that's against the equal opportunity housing, but I'm going to say it anyway because I love veterans. The VA loan, 6.409. That was down by more than all of the others. Love the veterans. We appreciate them. And yes, we are again for 2024, the number one lending team in America for Homes for Heroes. So great group. And there's incentives for every one of our military through Homes for Heroes. VA loan, 6.409. If you're not looking at the VA loan, of all of the government loans, I think that's the best of the government loans. I have started sharing with you, for those that qualify, the best loan out there is the Home Select loan from Geneva, rsrhomeselect.com. Just because you pay principal first, and you get the loan paid off in 7 to 10 years in most instances without having more of a payment, just by living your life. Let's take a look and see what's going on in the markets today. Although we are still going to be a little quiet until we get the big news coming out later in the week. S&P 500 is up 2.82 right now. 10-year Treasury yield is up 8 basis points. The bond, the mortgage bond, 30-year bond, is down 17. Remember, when the bond goes down, rates go up. It is mathematics. It's not opinion. So that's where we're standing right now. What's driving these numbers? Those numbers are all available, again, on that super secret website. You just have to go there and know where to look, google.com. New home sales measures signed contracts on new homes fell 11.3%. That's a big drop, 11.3% in May to 619,000 units. Yeah, that's not a good one. Let's see, weaker than estimates, but this report looks much worse because of a big upward revision. Are we surprised that we have revisions?
Surprise.
Big upward revision to April. The originally reported figure of 634,000 was revised to 698,000. They just missed by what? Is that about 10%?
Yeah.
When factoring in that revision, sales really only fell 2.4% from the originally reported number in April. Sales are now down 16.5% year over year. 481,000 new homes for sale at the end of May, which was up from 474 in April. At the current pace of sales, there's a 9.3 month supply, which is up from 9.1 months. But you are a listener of Ron Siegel Radio, so I'm going to tell you the number that you already know. There are only 99,000 of those completed. So if you want a real roof over your head, then you can't think about the 474,000 that are started. You have to think about the 99,000 that are completed. When you look at that pace of sales versus homes that are completed, the available supply, 1.92 months supply, up from 1.62 in April. The median home price was reported $417,000, which is flat from the previous report, down 1% year over year. The decline is not due to home prices falling, but rather more lower-priced homes being built and selling, causing the median sales price to drop. Remember, median sales price means absolutely nothing. It just talks about the mix of products being sold. Let's see what else we have from fun stuff. Fed Governor Lisa Cook comments. Spoke yesterday like San Francisco Fed President Mary Lee Daley. She too seemed in favor of a rate cut. She cited significant progress on inflation and a cooling labor market, and that it will be appropriate at some point to reduce the level of policy restriction to maintain a healthy balance in the economy, meaning not too tight and causing a hard landing or a recession. We're already in the recession, my opinion. Cook understands how inflation works, and she thinks the monthly readings will be favorable, but because of the replacements, thinks we won't see much more progress on annual inflation. We've talked about that before. And overstated jobs data. The jobs data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, their BS reports, has been overstated, as many Fed members are now acknowledging the BLS releases a close to real-time estimate, which they get revised 2 times over the following 2 months. Looking at 2023, the average revision after two months was down 30,000. That means just based on the BLS, the BS revisions, job growth is revised lower by 30,000 per month on average. Remember, I told you last quarter, last year, the average revisions were the average. If you look at the real numbers from the census, it was a negative 174,000. So we lost jobs if we look at the census reports, which is really using businesses, not using modeling. I guess the modeling now is about as bad as Victoria's Secret. I'm just going there. I'll go there. What the heck? That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. This morning, well, you know something? I think I've got something new here. You're going to like this, Chip.
All right.
Today, we have a special guest, Chip Ahlswede, the VP of External Affairs at AAOC. Chip has extensive experience in working with real estate interest groups, focusing on community engagement and policy development. He'll be sharing his expertise on the upcoming 2024 ballot initiatives and their potential impact on real estate in California and Orange County. Good morning, Chip.
How you doing today?
Good. How do you like that intro?
I like that. It made me sound important.
Yeah. Jeez, we might have to listen then.
I know.
So what's going on? Is there anything new going on in the world of real estate and initiatives? And
yeah, there's always something, as I'm sure you're well aware. One of the biggest things that we're coming up on is we're hitting the deadlines for when cities and the state can get their ballot initiatives in for what we're going to see in November.
Is that when they can get them in, or is it the time when they get them in and the Supreme Court still has time to get them off?
Well, yeah, we did have that come up last week. For any of you that aren't familiar, we did have a ballot initiative that was qualified by signatures, got more than it needed, that would have limited the ability of cities and counties to raise taxes unless it met a higher threshold. And the Supreme Court and the governor decided, no, we don't like that, and they threw it off the ballot.
Is there a possibility of something like that to go to a higher level?
Yeah, actually, just last week I met with James Lacey, who's one of the attorneys on the lawsuit, one of a former council member from Dana Point. So he's a great local leader. And he said they are going to be appealing it. They're going to be bringing it forward and seeing if they can get it put back on, because the decision didn't seem to make a lot of sense with the California Constitution. I mean, if you qualify an initiative.
Wait a second, something not making sense with the California?
I know it's strange, you know.
Shocks the heck out of us, Chip. The California would not make sense on something here.
Right. So, yeah, there will still be time until roughly August 9th is when the final deadline is for everything to go on the ballot. And that includes candidates. So if you're thinking about running for office, let us know. We want to support good people that actually understand these issues to get onto councils and get elected. But yeah, no, there will still be time there. Locally, however, this is the last week that cities can do anything to get on the ballot in Orange County for transient occupancy taxes for hotels or Airbnbs and things like that, sales taxes, or any bond measures. So
is there anything exciting going on that we should know about?
Locally, yeah, there are a few. We're going to see a couple sales taxes or something happening. The city of Orange was up until late last night discussing the possibility of putting a sales tax on, and they ended up having to schedule a special meeting for Friday to put that on. And there are other cities taking a look at this, and the real truth of the matter is coming down the pike. Every city's facing some massive deficits. So within the next election or two, just about every city in Orange County is going to end up having to face something like this.
Really?
Yeah.
And you know, it's amazing how they constantly look at the idea. Let's raise the taxes instead of finding where we can cut some spending.
Well, a lot of other cities in Orange County do spend a lot of time focusing on that. And some of it comes from just uncovering things that they didn't know were going to be costs, things that had been kicked down the road a number of times. So there are cities that are spending a lot of time working hard trying to find those cuts. Could there be more? Sure. There's always opportunity.
Well, you know, it's the old saying that, you know, once you get a government project, you never get rid of it.
That is very true.
You know, and you just look at it and say, you know, what if we went to the old business way and say, okay, we've got X dollars in revenue. We can't spend anything more than X dollars. So where are we going to, you know, be responsible?
That is one of the harder challenges that a lot of them have, because yeah, you can have that. But part of it is, what are your revenue streams? And the state keeps taking away taxes from local government. So it makes it harder for them to meet their obligations. And the state doesn't seem to care.
Right, that's a real surprise also. You know, I think Gomer would get tired with all the times we could use that same sounds here. It just boggles me that, you know, you get a state that has, you know, so many billions of dollars in a budget, and they can't find, you know, who was the congressperson? I think his name was Penny, and they actually had the Penny plan. Right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
Every budget or every issue had to be reduced by 1%. You know, every line item.
Yeah. Well, and if you remember, Vivek Ramaswamy's plan originally was that he wanted to cut everything in the federal government day one by 50%, which seems a bit extreme. And I'll say, especially a number like that, you're not going to be able to do that. But no, but continually reducing by a penny gets us down to where we need to.
Yeah, and you look at it. I mean, 50%. I wouldn't want to say that we're going to cut our police by 50% or our fire by 50%.
Right. Exactly.
You know, those things. And then you start saying, okay, well, if you can't do that, then you can't do this one and that one and the next pet project. And you're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, focus on time in the market, not on timing the market. We'll talk about it. Benefits of moving your credit card payment dates and how to do it and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Focus on time in the market, not timing the market. Should you buy a home now or should you wait? That's a big question on many people's minds today, and while what timing is right for you will depend on a lot of other personal factors, here's something you may not have considered. If you're able to buy at today's rates and prices, it may be better to focus on time in the market rather than timing the market. The downside of trying to time the market isn't a good strategy because things can change. Here's an example. For the better part of this year, projections have said mortgage rates will come down. And while experts agree that's still what's ahead, shifts in various market and economic factors have pushed back the timing of when that'll happen. Here's how that's impacted home buyers who have been sitting on the sidelines. As U.S. News says, quote, those who put off buying a home during the past few years as they were holding out for lower mortgage rates have been left out of the market. Mortgage rates have stayed higher for longer than previously expected, keeping monthly housing payments elevated. In other words, affordability did not improve for those who chose to wait, unquote. This is why timing the market may not pay off if you're ready and able to buy now. The proof is in the pudding. How homeowners benefit from rising home prices. Delaying your plans also means missing out on the equity you'd gain if you went ahead with your purchase today. And the potential equity gains that are at stake may surprise you. Each quarter, Fannie Mae releases the Home Price Expectation Survey. It asks over 100 economists, real estate experts, and investment market strategists what they forecast for home prices over the next 5 years. In the latest release, experts are projecting home prices will continue to rise through at least 2028. And again, if you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, you are seeing this chart. To give these numbers context, let's take a look at a breakdown of what you stand to gain once you buy. The graph that I'm going to show next, or Josh is going to put up next, uses a typical home's value to show how a home could appreciate over time, over the next few years, using those HPES expectations. 400,000. Now, remember, these are national numbers. Some parts of in Southern California, these numbers will work. Orange County, just double them. It'll be a lot easier, maybe even triple them. $83,094 on a $400,000 home in appreciation from 2024 to 2029. $83,094. Let's say you went ahead and bought a $400,000 home at the beginning of this year. Based on the expert forecasts from HPES, you can gain more than $83,000 in household worth over the next 5 years. That's not a small number. This data helps paint the picture of why time in the market really matters. And remember, when we talk about that Home Select loan that I've been telling you about from Geneva, rsrhomeselect.com, 5 years, you've almost paid off the entire house if you qualify just by paying principal first. And I did do another scenario yesterday, 1.797 effective APR, 1.797. Their minimum payment dropped to $24.15 from $36.82. This was a refinance. It's going to take 7.3 years to pay off. 23.3 years if they stay where they are now. $96,000 interest saved, increase in net worth, $1.4 million if you find a financial advisor that can get you an 8% return. I don't guarantee returns, but I can tell you about financial advisors that can help get you to these numbers. Right now, you may be focused on what's happening with mortgage rates and how those impact your monthly payment, but don't forget to factor in home prices. Prices are expected to continue climbing, just at a more moderate pace, and while a moderate rise in prices may not be fun for you now, once you own a home, that growth will be a huge perk. That's the time in the market piece. Sure, you could try timing the market, but the equity you'll be missing out on in the meantime is something to seriously consider. If you're ready and able to buy now, you have to decide, is it really worth waiting? Rather than focusing on timing the market, it's better to have time in the market. U.S. News Real Estate sums up, quote, "There's never a one-size-fits-all answer to whether now is the right time to buy a home. There's also no way to predict precisely what the market will do in the near future. Perfectly timing the market shouldn't be the goal. This decision should be determined by your personal needs, financial means, and the time you have to find the right home," unquote. Bottom line, if you're debating whether to buy now or wait, give me a call at 800-306-1990. We can run some numbers for you and show you precisely what forecasts show your cost of waiting will be. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment, brought to you by rsrmoney.com. Continuing our conversation, Chip Ahlswede, VP of External Affairs of AAOC. What is AAOC?
It's the Apartment Association of Orange County.
Okay, so you guys got to get involved in all of this initiative stuff and keep track, and being that you are the VP. You have to know all these things that are going on.
Yeah, I try to keep on top of as much of it as possible. I mean, it is California. It is a constantly evolving situation. But yeah, we do follow these, and specifically, we take a look at it from a real estate and an investment in real estate perspective.
So it's not from a partisan perspective.
No, not at all. In fact, we support both sides fairly equally. And we've got great relationships because realistically, housing isn't a partisan issue. I mean, there's elements to it that appeal to both Republicans and Democrats alike.
Yeah, although I would like to get the penthouse of that $600,000 a unit place in LA.
Well,
I have to be homeless though for that, right?
Yeah, you do. And that would be nice because then you could also have that lovely graffiti on the outside of the building. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, the other one, the new one that they just opened up. It was $600,000 per unit, and it was 23 stories. Just opened recently.
I'll have to look into that one.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It looked like from the outside it looks pretty good, and it's got a gym inside and high-speed internet. And
not bad.
It's a homeless shelter.
Oh my.
So what are some of the initiatives, Chip? We got to get into these.
So as of right now, there are 14 that will be qualified for the November election. There's one pending signatures, and included in that 14 is that one that we mentioned that it was kicked off the ballot. So we don't know the ultimate fate of that. As of right now, it will not be on November, but we'll see what happens with that. But there are a number that are going to affect real estate and housing. One, you may have remembered last year, they passed an initiative at the state level called the ACA 1, which is the housing is a human right, because apparently we need to just give housing to everybody. It's not something you earn or work towards. So that's an initiative. It was originally going to be on the March ballot, but they moved it to the November ballot. The bigger ones that we're really looking at that are going to be very impacting is the AIDS Healthcare Foundation has once again come out with an initiative to pass rent control statewide.
Wait, AIDS Healthcare,
right?
For rent control.
Correct. If you remember, in 2018, they came forward with Prop 10, which was statewide rent control. And then they did it again in 2020 with Prop 21, which was statewide rent control again. And this one would allow a number of things that are actually kind of frightening. First off, it would make it any city could implement it, whether they're a charter city or a general law city. That's been one of the delineations up till now, is who's been able to implement it. But it also takes away the Costa-Hawkins protections, which protects single-family homes from being subject to this. So if you have a single-family home that you're renting out, it would fall under rent control. And the most insidious of it all is the concept of vacancy decontrol. It's not really a conversation we have down here in Orange County very often because nobody has it. But effectively, if you're renting your unit out at $1,000 a month and tenant moves out, normally you bring that up to the market rate.
Right.
This would say, no, you keep it at that rate forever.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's also what keeps over 100,000 units off the market in New York. And it's why there's about 50,000 in the city of San Francisco not being rented out. So when we talk about affordability and all those issues, this is exactly where it comes from, because a constrained market keeps people from having housing.
So why would you even want to? I mean, we're already seeing in Los Angeles that people don't want to get involved in any kind of investment properties.
Absolutely. Most of the people I know are taking their money, taking it out of state.
And yet, well, who's going to be the one out telling, other than you guys, telling us about this AIDS healthcare rent control?
Well, luckily the CEO there, Mr. Michael Weinstein, has managed to upset just about everybody in the state. He's lost state and national contracts for the programs he's running. The LA Times has even ran exposés on him, pointing out that he's effectively a slumlord, because the AIDS Healthcare Foundation owns about 1,000 units in downtown LA that are at substandard living conditions. So maybe keep control of your own side of the street before you come over and tell me what to do on mine.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Well, and you know something? You've got to really be a whack job for the Times to go against you.
Yeah, you really,
because there are a bunch of whack jobs as it is.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, he's done himself no political favors here, to the point where the California Apartment Association put forward a ballot initiative that is it's called the Protect Patients Now initiative. That effectively says if you are a healthcare agency that spends over $100 million a year, in a 10-year period on something other than healthcare purposes, you lose your funding, you lose your ability to keep your nonprofit status. It takes away all of those elements from them. And I really applaud them for stepping forward and doing that, because this group that has a wonderful mission supporting AIDS patients,
sure,
love it, has spent in the last this election included, will have spent in the neighborhood of $150 million on a political campaign that could have been spent on patients, or I don't know, building the housing you actually want to see built. And the industry itself each time has had to come through with $80 million a piece to stop this from happening.
Well, that's the problem with so many of these initiatives in California, is how much money are we spending on all these initiatives, and what can we do? I mean, we might be out of debt if we didn't spend all this money on these
or
things.
At least have a few more roofs that people can move in on, and that affordability issue would be solved.
Now, have you seen the way the initiative is written?
Yes. Yeah, we've read through it.
So are these initiatives that we're going to be able to understand, or are these initiatives that nobody understands, and you have to get a lawyer to tell you that yes means no and no means yes? And
it'll be pretty straightforward on the yes or no side of things.
Okay.
It's not one of those ones where you vote for it and that means that this then does that. It's not like that. No. With the AIDS Healthcare funded initiative, the so-called Justice for Renters Act, that would take away all of these protections for property owners and even for tenants. That one is just going to be a straight up yes or no vote. Yes, if you think that rent control is a great idea because it's done such wonderful things for cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles, then it goes into effect. If you vote no because you realize this is insanely detrimental to anybody getting involved in building or investing in housing in California, it's going down. And latest polling does show that it is failing, which is
good,
encouraging. The last 2 times it went down by 60%. You would think at some point you'd figure out this is not popular. We don't need to do this.
Yeah, and the irony is that the guy has a lot of money, so he can keep throwing money at it, and
Right.
then everybody else has to throw money at trying to educate people on why it's not good,
Mhm.
and that causes more problems.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, more with Chip Ahlswede. We're going to continue talking about initiatives. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
79% of all credit reports have errors that should be corrected through factual disputing. You could be saving thousands every year if your report was accurate. CreditSanitizer.com provides a free credit report audit when you furnish a specific $1 credit report. You can use this information to request corrections to your report and potentially save thousands of dollars. Get your free credit audit at CreditSanitizer.com. That's CreditSanitizer.com for a free credit report audit. CreditSanitizer.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by rsrdebtfree.com, rsrdebtfree.com. I don't have time to give you the whole story today, but I am going to tell you, if you've got more than 60 days worth of debts, credit card debts, auto loans, student loans, the private ones, anything unsecured, buy now, pay later, any of those different programs, let's take care of the problem that's not going to go away. So what are the options? Well, you look at a debt consolidation loan if you have equity in your real estate, because I know you've got a 3 or 4% mortgage and you're saying, I don't want to get rid of that. Well, think about the real truth of the matter is if you got a 22.8% credit card, which is the average credit card interest. And I just saw a note or a stat this morning that, not getting political, but I do. Under President Trump, when President Trump left office, we had the highest level of savings in the country's history. Now, a lot of that had to do with the pandemic money. Right now, we've got the highest level of debt, personal debt in the country's history. What are you doing about it? Let's solve that problem. So if you've got the equity in the property, let's look at your blended household interest rate, see if there's a solution there. If not, let's talk to our friend Chris Corrales. They've got a solution where they'll go and negotiate. Believe it or not, creditors would rather take a haircut, cut back on the amount of the money they're getting to keep a performing loan than having a non-performing loan or non-performing credit card or non-performing buy now, pay later. They'd rather get something than nothing. It's good for them. It's a benefit to them. So let's just chat about some of these things. Call me at 800-306-1990. Your Credit Matters brought to you by rsrdebtfree.com. rsrdebtfree.com. So let's continue our conversation. Chip Ahlswede is with us, the VP of External Affairs, AAOC. I think you're talking about government. You got to be careful of the naming of these things anymore.
Yeah.
External Affairs.
I know.
As opposed to internal affairs.
I don't have to pay anybody off for
Okay.
what I do.
Jim Norton says, Chip or I should post a summary sheet to these initiatives, including ACA 13.
Yeah. Happy to do that.
Okay, so there you go, Jim. You posted that. You got the answer right there. So okay, we've got to 2 or 3 of these. Let me ask you this, because this is my way of looking at initiatives and bonds and all those things. I start out saying no to everything.
I do the same.
Do you? Okay, and then and you're studying this stuff all the time, and then say, okay, what is it that we really, really, really need?
Right.
Like the bond initiatives. I can't think of any bond that we need. The government's got so much, the state, so much money that we're wasting.
I think you can look at a lot of what we've done recently, and I think that the government has done a poor job of making sure that we understand what we're voting on, that we've voted for things because it says, oh, it's a water bond. And that sounds great. Of course, we want to have clean water and all that, but it's not always going to those purposes.
Well, we never have a water bond. We have a bond that's going to benefit senior citizens, or a bond that's going to benefit the education of kids, which we do a crappy job of.
That's true.
Or the one that I almost fell off my chair yesterday, $110 million that the U.S. is sending to Haiti.
Yeah.
You got to love these things. But let's get back to California.
Yeah.
What else do we have going on in California?
So there are other initiatives that are going to be on there. A lot of them, to your point about I always vote no, or start off from a perspective of no. I think it's a wise choice because often we're asked to vote on things that why would the average citizen know anything about this? That's why we have representative government. We have someone there to learn the issue and vote for us. But you got.
Well, I know the answer to that question. It's because we don't trust the California government.
I wish that were the case. More often than not, these initiatives are brought forward by an interest group that wants to get their perspective through and can't get it through the legislature.
So the initiatives are bad, and then we can't trust the legislators.
Yeah.
Aren't we lucky in California?
Well, and if you look at it, an elected official has kind of an impossible job. It's understand how everything out there, all elements of the economy, all industries are affected.
But they got how many dozens of people on their staff, and then they get
at the federal level. Yeah, they do. At the state level, you got a couple, and then local, most cities, they've got nobody other than the city staff themselves.
Okay.
So it's hard. You're having to trust effectively bureaucrats, to tell you the truth.
We know that's not a good idea. That's a recipe for disaster.
Exactly.
Okay, so what else do we have going on?
A number of the other initiatives, we're looking at some of the things like they're looking for some reforms to Prop 47, which was the one that lowered the crime, the penalties for criminal activities in the state. So they're looking to reform that and bring some of the things back, like making it actually a felony if you steal $950 worth of stuff, that kind of stuff. So that's actually a good one. An example of a good one. Depending on your perspective, the Taxpayer Protection Act, the one that was kind of thrown off the ballot, that's a good one because it requires a higher level before we choose to tax ourselves anymore. But then there are a couple things in there. One, actually, I think you'll like. There's a ballot initiative that will require high schools to conduct a financial literacy course before someone graduates, which I think isn't a bad idea, especially when you talk about everything you've touched on here, all of these people with outstanding credit card debt and carrying the highest in our history. That's partially because these people were not financially illiterate when they made these decisions.
You're going to love this, Chip, because I've gotten involved with a group called First Home IQ.
Okay.
And their mission is to bring financial literacy to our younger generation.
Yeah.
And Kristen Messerly is their director there, and she studies the Gen Z and millennials, and with like 6,000. She has surveys like 6,000 people every year to come up with their knowledge base and what they're thinking and their thoughts are. And she came out with this quiz that we promote, and you can go to rsrlinks.com/FHIQ, rsrlinks.com/FHIQ. Would you like to take a wild guess at what the grading is on this? And it's an easy test, but take a wild guess of what you think might be their success rate, or the score, the average score.
60%.
Wow, you're good. It's actually 57.
Wow. All right.
57 is their score on it, and you look at it and you say, what are we doing as parents educating and schools educating our kids when they're getting a 57 on the test?
Well, how many parents actually talk to their kids about finances? I mean, I do occasionally, but I don't go into depth on it.
Now, I will throw out there that Josh got 100 on it. So he did it, and he got 100. So if you want information on financial literacy, just talk to Josh, because he's got it there.
Well done.
Yeah, I mean, but you know something? It's amazing how many people when I was in school, we used to have to carry. Nobody does a checkbook anymore.
Right.
We had to carry those checkbooks around and pay our bills and our mortgage or our rent
or the original bank account pass. Book you had. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They don't do that anymore.
No. But I'll say, I've got one son who's just turned 18. And he's managed to sock away, just graduated high school. He's managed to sock away about $4,000 just from working since about November. So even though I say I haven't necessarily taught them great financial literacy, I got one that's clearly doing great with it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
He'll be able to go and get his own house or car or something, continue on that.
I think he definitely will be that one. He's absolute spendthrift. I mean, he's better than me. in a lot of ways. So yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah. When it comes back to the initiatives, there's a lot of different things out there supporting this, that, and the other thing. We have there's always an initiative, it seems, that I feel like we as citizens shouldn't be voting on. My favorite one of all time was whether or not when a horse dies, if that could be used in animal food consumption, because apparently that was a common thing. I've never owned a horse. I've never raised a horse. I know nothing about horses other than what they look like. And I've ridden a few, and it's fun. But asking me as a voter to decide how that animal is disposed of, it's kind of crazy to me.
Last time I got on a horse, you know what I heard?
What's that?
Guess I can't get the soundboard to work.
Ow!
Yeah, that
I
was
hear
it.
the same.
So we're gonna have to have you come back again, Chip. There's so
Anytime.
much of this stuff going on. We're gonna have to put that list together so we can get a sensible voters guide through Ron Siegel Radio.
Absolutely.
As always, we ask set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today, and of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.